Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to remind you each and every day, it expands our base. Preemptive Pardons. That's what I want to talk about this morning. Oh, I know there are a million other topics I could discuss, but I first heard about this when I was giving a talk here in San Francisco a couple of days ago. And a very bright, intelligent member of the audience said, "John, what do you think about the idea of preemptive pardons?" Well, frankly, it had never occurred to me that there would be such a thing. But, well, it turns out in the White House, they are talking about preemptive pardons. Why? Because Donald Trump has threatened to go on a vendetta of revenge against those who have opposed him. Liz Cheney, Dr. Fauci, and Adam Schiff, the newly elected United States Senator from California, among others. And so the White House is thinking about simply issuing a preemptive pardon so that they cannot be prosecuted/persecuted by the new administration. Well, I listened this morning to Adam Schiff, who said eloquently he doesn't want such a pardon. And the reason he doesn't want it is because he's done nothing wrong. A pardon was used and should be used to eliminate a criminal action pardoning someone who may have made a mistake. Richard Nixon is a great example. Nixon made mistakes. He didn't want to admit it, but in order to get a pardon, in order to avoid a trial and possibly jail, Richard Nixon admitted that what he did was wrong. That's what a pardon is for. A preemptive strike, if you will, is made in the face of statements by Trump potential administration leadership that their goal is revenge. You know, the idea that a preemptive pardon is a good idea is to me offensive. And I applaud Adam Schiff for saying he doesn't want a preemptive pardon. You know, if they're going to indict Adam Schiff, let them indict him. If they're going to indict Liz Cheney, let them indict her. If they are going to indict Dr. Fauci, let them indict him. These three, whether you agree or disagree with their particular stands, qualify as profiles in courage. Individuals who rose above contemporary politics to take a stand because they believed it was the right thing to do. Does that qualify someone for a preemptive pardon? This is something that I find so offensive, I cannot even begin to describe it. When the campaign was at its height, I had dinner with a very good friend of mine and his son, and they asked me why I was so upset with Donald Trump. And I said because he intends to go on a path of revenge against those who he considers to be his political enemies. And they said, "Oh, no, he'd never do a thing like that." And I cited several examples, but they persisted in believing that Donald Trump would never seek political revenge. I hope they're right. I hope that what we heard this morning from Lara Trump, that Donald Trump would never use the powers of the presidency to go after Dr. Fauci or Adam Schiff or Liz Cheney. I hope that's true. But I also think there is something else we have to think about. The climate of fear. That's right. There is a climate of fear. Maybe it's caused by uncertainty, but it is a climate of fear that is abroad in the land. And the idea that a sitting president of the United States would use the powers of his office vindictively, well, you know, it's not unheard of. Richard Nixon had an enemies list. But as I remarked to someone yesterday, Nixon's enemies list caused such revulsion by Americans at every level because we don't want a president who seeks revenge. We want a president who does his or her job. So I wanted to speak about the question of preemptive pardons and make sure you understand my position. I hope that Joe Biden does not give a preemptive pardon to the individuals aforementioned. I hope that what happens is that the political commentary continues to grow. Donald Trump has every right to be critical of his critics. But unless they are brought to court, unless they are put on trial, well, a preemptive pardon makes no sense to me. By the way, that applies to those who suggest that Donald Trump should be pardoned by Joe Biden. If he were to be pardoned, he would have to admit that he did something wrong. And Donald Trump will never admit he did anything wrong, and maybe he didn't. That is what a court of law is all about. Remember, please, that Mitch McConnell, as the Senate Republican leader, did not vote to impeach Donald Trump over January 6th. He said that is something that needs to be decided in the courts. Well, of course, it appears, at least for the next 4 years, it won't go to court. And maybe by then people will say, it just doesn't matter. But to me, it always will. To me, justice matters. And if it is believed in this country that you can get away with it, boy, are we in trouble. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which is, of course, our goal. You can interact with me on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and I appreciate your observations and comments. So many of you stop me when you see me and offer those comments. And by the way, I was especially appreciative of a listener who said, I forbid you to take more vacations. We missed you during the 2 weeks that you were away. Well, I missed it too. But I'm here, and we will be back on Monday with more of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Can't wait.